Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another one of our retailer to publisher webinars. I'm really excited to have two very good friends and longtime industry veterans with us today. I have Jules Vautour and Colin from Luma Games. We're going to be talking about their company, their partners, and an awesome line of games. I want to be very forward actually on this introduction with everybody. So there's been a lot of conversations over the last week. As we're filming this right now and recording this for YouTube, we're in the middle of Gamma Online for 2021. There's been a lot of announcements, a lot of changes, a lot of flux in the industry with a lot of things. And this whole discussion really kind of leans on a lot of the things that we've all talked about on these GTS webinars for the last year to year and a half, which is brands first, games second. The whole concept and idea of don't spend your time chasing down the next hot game because the market will naturally bubble that up. Whereas if you focus from a retail perspective on the best brands, the brands that deliver more often than not, you're going to have much more success long-term. And the concept and the structure of Luma fits right into that absolutely perfectly. I could go on and on for days. There are a lot of games that are going to be awesome that we're going to talk about. If you are a longtime person in this industry, you more than likely know one, if not both of these gentlemen. If you don't, just know that they have been in multiple chairs. They have been in publisher chairs, distributor chairs, retail chairs, manufacturing chairs, you name it. They have a lot of experience. So as I like to tell everybody, the pun is everything is on the table. Any kind of questions you have, you're welcome to ask. You can open up your chat window if you're here live. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you can feel free to leave a comment below and we'll get answers for you on there. But if you are here live, you can send a question to either all panelists, myself, Jules, and Colin, or to all panelists and attendees so the other retailers can see it as well. And we'll kind of work those in as the conversation gets going. But gents,
Scott, that was the nicest way of telling me I'm old. Thank you very much.
All good. It's experienced. It's not old. It's experienced, right?
Yeah, sure.
Trust me. Of everyone I know, in the industry,
there's gray here, but it's good.
Young at heart people I know, so that's a good thing. So, all right, well, gentlemen, I will yield the floor to the fine young gentleman from Canada, and I will let you guys take over.
Sure. So I will start with just an introduction of the company, just for those of you who don't know us. Colin, are we sharing the screen?
We are indeed.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So Luma is a company that I started, just about 18 months ago after my departure from Cool Mini. I figured it was time to branch out on my own and do this thing. So Colin was courageous enough to join me on the adventure, and I thank you for it every day. What we are as a company, Luma Imports, was originally a Canadian distributor that I acquired shares in and then branched out into the US. I'd worked in the US for the last almost 2 decades of my life, and so it was just a natural continuation for me. And given what Scott was talking about, a lot of changes in the markets and whatever else, Luma decided that there was a real need, and some of the publishers agreed, that a lot of the overseas publishers don't know how to navigate the North American market, don't know the nuances of distribution, so on and so forth. And so what Luma did, Colin, I'll ask you to, thank you, is represent the fine people and the publishers that we see here on the screen. So, you'll notice that Horrible Guild, formerly Horrible Games, was with Cool Mini or Not prior. Ankama has been a little bit over the place. Brain Games used to distribute themselves on their own. And we took all these publishers in. Hurricane does Mr. Jacks, they were at Asmo. And all these publishers were looking for solutions. So what Luma is it's the sales and marketing arm and the strategic arm for these games in North America. And also, we do sell internationally into about 17 other countries. We do sell them on the English market. So many of the products that you see here, not only do we sell them in North America, but we sell them in Australia, the UK, some games in the Pacific Rim, so on and so forth. So without further ado, we'd like to present to you some of the titles that are coming up shortly. There's a lot more coming. given that we have multiple publishers, each publisher goes to their own rate. Some will release 1 new game this year, others 6. So with that, it seems like it's a lot of releases from Luma to you, but when you break it down, it's actually not that much. All those publishers, Scott had mentioned, we had a sales call with the team on Friday, and he mentioned that, you know, if any of these publishers went to them individually, they would distribute them individually. We just make it easier for GTS to work with us and to work with these people and have better stock availability and so on and so forth, and also marketing and whatnot. So it's a win-win for everybody, and that is what Luma is. We are looking at a few more partners, but we had a really quick growth in 2019, 2020. We're going to slow it down a little bit just so we can make sure we can maintain the speed and make sure that we can serve our publishers that have given us the confidence well in the not too distant future. So without further ado, I will hand over the presentation to Colin. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask them in the chat room. I will moderate, and I'll let Colin go through the presentation, and I may chime in every now and then.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you. So talking about adding publishers, these are some of the publishers that you may or may not have been familiar from us. Up until now, we've added 2 recently, and we'll start with those. The first is Sit Down, and you'll be familiar with them as a publisher because of Magic Maze. You're likely already familiar with this one as a fast-playing cooperative silent game. It's done very well, both in the English language markets in the US as well as internationally. Lots of reviews out there, lots of marketing assets, continues to have strong buzz. We're happy to make sure that the availability for Magic Maze, as well as Magic Maze Kids, the more youth-focused title, are going to be available to you as easily as possible. And that one, we feel, is going to just be steady. It is going to continue on if more available going forward. And we'll just move past the videos.
So we had, just so you know, we had videos in the presentation. They did lag on Zoom, so we're just going to skip them. We want you to know that this presentation will be made available through GTS afterwards. So if you want those assets, we'll gladly provide them to you. Also, we do have a Dropbox folder for retailers. So if ever you want these videos so that you can put them up on your Facebook or social media or wherever else you want to put them, we'll gladly make those available to you. One thing I wanted to say about Magic Maze and the other stuff, the ETA, the stock is just finished printed in China. It is scheduled to be put on a boat this week. And so given everything that's happening with the shipping delays, we're hoping to have it May, or end of April, early May, if all goes well. And the next 3 that we are presenting, including Magic Maze Kids, are also on that same container. So those will all be released within the span of the same 10 days.
Yeah, and it's probably good to know, some people do this, some people don't. It's your preference, obviously, but as those things are on the water coming to us, even though you may see zeros in the warehouses, you are still able to place orders for those online, or you can contact your sales rep and put them in as a back order. And then once they land, they'll be released and shipped out as soon as possible. So if those are things that you want to make sure you get in store as soon as they land, definitely make sure to place a back order so we can get that stuff out to you as soon as possible. And it's also good to know, I put this in chat, and just to make sure everybody hears it and you know, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, Luma is one of our key partners that we're focusing on for this year. So unless they're out, we don't want to be out. So if anyone runs into any kind of issues finding anything or seeing anything, or if you're having issues online with the website or anything, reach out to your rep, reach out to me. More than happy to help get things squared away. Essentially, unless Luma is out of stock, we don't want to be out of stock. So that will help keep things as stable and as normalized, quote unquote, moving forward. As we all know, availability is going to be key this year. So
yeah. Well, following on those heels, one of the newer titles that we're going to be releasing from Sit Down is going to be Rush Out. This is a very fast playing one versus all die rolling title. You're looking to mill through your deck as quickly as possible as a group, while the one player playing the final boss of the dungeon is going to be trying to stop you from getting away, from stealing their hoard. This one is definitely vibrant art, very language independent. It's a lot of dice rolling, it's a lot of icons. So we're expecting this to do well in terms of being streamlined, kind of visual presence. But this one is going to be a 3 to 5. So this is going to be a little bit more targeted towards folks as they're able to have a few more people there. But what we'll also hype up is Dive, which is the big release that you may have started to see buzz on online. Between us and Sit Down, a lot of reviewers are already getting their hands on prototypes, and the initial buzz for this one is very strong. It is a 1 to 4. It has a solo component as well, an automata that'll allow people to use that. And the production is just beautiful. You're really trying to dive and to find the jewels in the water. You have translucent cards that are going to provide a variety of different obstacles and benefits. And your goal is to be able to kind of look through the water and try to ascertain when to dive, when to kind of repel any kind of sharks or other adversaries. A lot of it is just playing quickly and visualizing, and then being able to ideally gather up the most points first. So there's a bit of hidden information, there's a bit of simultaneous play, and there's going to be that solitaire component as well. So across the board, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everyone is already speaking very highly of the production, and that's in prototype form. So we feel very confident that this is going to be something that people are already aware of and are going to be coming into your stores asking about when it releases in that May to June window. We're going to just jump by that video. And then the second publisher that we've recently added is going to be Bombix. And Bombix, you may or may not be familiar with, but we're starting here with Codex as their newest release. And this is one that is going to be a smaller price point, smaller box size, $15 SRP, very quick playing 2 to 4 player. You have all of these brightly colored cards, and these are going to act as resources as well as points. And you're trying to fulfill a rotating cast of goal cards. You'll see a couple up at the top of that icon there. So depending on how you play your resource drafting game, you're going to be able to have that replayability in that 25-minute game there. So this is one of those titles where we've had very good response. Z Garcia over at the Dice Tower gave it a strong recommendation here. And this is a title that, as soon as it becomes available, we believe is going to do well at point at counterpoint, as well as being able to be displayed when it is safe to do so again, when your demo spaces are open again. But in general, the buzz online is such that we feel people will be driving towards it to at least see it when they get into the store. Abyss, however, what we're doing is we are in the process of streamlining and working with Bombix to clean up this line. Abyss is a modern classic. This is a Catala favorite. And what we are doing is we are removing the list, the catalog of 5 different color boxes for those that remember Abyss being on the market. We're streamlining to go with just this blue box here with the face. We're adding the title logo onto the front of the box, so that lining up on the spine is not the only way, the best way to display in your store anymore. But the gameplay remains the same. It has just gone up on Board Game Arena, so we're having a lot of renewed buzz there in terms of people playing it, people engaging with the material, and a lot of positive buzz for the expansions that are available still. So Abyss is one of those titles that we feel very confidently about because it's already a proven commodity, and we think that people are still going to be interested in this once we streamline the presentation and make it available to you once again. And the same is going to be from Conspiracy. We're going to be taking this game within the Abyss universe as well, and we're going to be putting this into a regular carton box in the fullness of time, as well as going down to the one color and adding the conspiracy title logo right onto the front of the box. Anything that we can do to make your lives easier in terms of displaying the game, making it more visible within your shelving, as well as banking on the familiarity that people already have and capitalizing on the fact that if it did not move as well as perhaps it should have because of those things, this is now going to be a title that will be available and is still a high quality design that people are talking about. And both of these games will still be fully supported with second and third wave reviews. So even though there's already strong existing marketing assets online on YouTube as well as Facebook, we will continue to make sure that these are healthy, well-examined titles from the content space. Now, Jules already mentioned Horrible Guild, formerly Horrible Games. This is a company that, I mean, has just been a dream to work with because they make such exciting titles with such great table presence. And one of the things that we want to talk about right off the bat is working with GTS. We are running a specific promotion. Now, you may already be familiar with Similo Fables, History, and Myths that have been out now. We are about to launch Animals and Wild Animals. We feel very confidently that both of those titles in the kind of animal space will be far more accessible, especially to younger audiences and families, than the other titles will be. So history has been very good from an educational standpoint, fables and myths as well in terms of the literary content. Animals and Wild Animals, we feel, are going to be able to reach an even larger audience for you in terms of right up there at the counter, quick buy, $10 SRP. And in order to help you invest in this line, which has already been doing gangbusters for us, and we want to ensure it continues to do gangbusters for you, is a buy 7, get 1 free. And your rep will be able to give you more information, but broadly speaking, you buy 7 of a line, you buy 7 of animals, you buy 7 of wild animals, or even the previous iterations, you buy 7 of history, and the 8th in the cart in the case is free to you. That's not a demo, that's not anything, that's you do what you want with it. We just want you to know that we want to give you the tools to sell this as you need to your community. But we do still very much believe in Animals and Wild Animals as far as opening up the space for Similo, including the new app that's been doing well for remote and home play. So we think that this will be a good way to start that off with these 2 new titles. And again, if you have any questions about this promotion that'll end at the end of May, please reach out to your lovely GTS rep and they'll be able to give you more info.
Also, I put the SKUs into the chat as well. There's a specific case SKU for the buy 7, get 1 free. It's just the baseline SKU for the product plus the word case at the end of it there, but you're able to use that. It's also searchable on the website, so you can find it on the website really easily too.
Oh, are you muted, Jules?
To answer Derek's question, it's you can buy all of them, but it's buy 7, get the 8th one free on each individual title. So you buy 7 animals, you get the 8th one free. You buy 7, it's a $10 SRP. So the investment to you is not that large. Also, it's a game that's so easily merchandised in your store. We worked hard on getting this done and making sure that it would work. The hang tag actually slides in and out. So if you want to display it on a counter or put it on a shelf, you can do that. The hang tag disappears. If you want to put it on a pegboard or something else, you just literally slide that up and you can display that on your store, in your store, however you want it. So yeah, essentially, I hope that answers your question, Dirk. But there we have it. And it is one of my favorite games in my catalog. So
it is a good one. I love this one. Speaking of Horrible Guild, this is a company that you probably are familiar with already. Certainly the King's Dilemma has been a very strong title for us and for GTS this past year. That will be coming back in stock shortly. We will be working with Horrible to ensure that it is as steady as can be, but demand is still very high, as I'm sure all of your stores know. So we are still working across COVID shipping and manufacturing to make sure we can take care of that for you. Same with Potion Explosion and Dragon Castle. Both will be returning in the next little while. Those are still doing very healthy for us. And we still see very positive buzz online through social media. These are still games people are discovering, especially as your new customers, your new family-based customers continue to expand. And we feel these are still very strong for that those demographics that you're working with, as well as the new Railroad Inc. challenges. Now, Red and Blue will be coming back in the summer, but before that, the Railroad Inc. challenge, Lush Green and Shining Yellow, are going to be hitting stores. And these are going to be slightly different, but the base game is still fundamentally the same, but they're going to be 1 to 4 players as opposed to 1 to 6, but they're adding goal cards and different elements that will make them kind of a 1.25, 1.5 step as opposed to the classic red and blue. So the people that want to layer on, want something a little bit more gamery than the first two, these are going to be great sells for them. But because they have the base game embedded in them, people new to the line will still be able to play these very comfortably and still have a great time. And then all 4 still fundamentally have their own differences between the expansion dice and what makes them each unique particular titles. So we're very happy that those are going to be arriving soon in the next month or so, and we will be working with your GTS reps to make sure that that is also something that is healthy and stable for you, because the line is just like Similo. It's just such a fun, accessible, easy line to work with, and we feel like the growth there for your newer customers is still untapped. There's still lots of people who want to play Railroad Inc.
Yeah. Derek made a good point in the chat. He said Potion Explosion is an amazing game. If you don't have a demo of this one, you're missing out. Yeah, if you for some reason haven't seen Potion Explosion, think basically Candy Crush the board game. While I know that Colin and Jules can't obviously market it it definitely is a kind of a match 3 type puzzle feel to it, and it is phenomenal. It also has a application that's been online that has also done extremely well. But this has been a game that has been out now, I think close to 5 years. Is that right, Colin?
I think a little under. What is it, Jules?
I have no idea. It seems like forever ago.
I know in one sense it feels like yesterday, and in another sense it feels like a decade, right? But it's been.
I don't know. I'd have
popular.
to go check. I'd go have to check my CV and see when we started at Luma, because that was one of the first games we launched. So, yeah, I think it's been about 5 years.
Yeah, and it's still consistent.
There's been reiterations of the game. So the new game, when we first launched the game, it had a cardboard marble dispenser, and then they came out with an expansion with a plastic dispenser. We're moving away from that, and now that plastic dispenser is in the base game itself, which offers a way better experience for gamers alike. They just open it up. There's no assembly required, and also from a gameplay standpoint, it's a lot sturdier. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's been about 5 years.
And these are all, I mean, as you'll see with Horrible and a number of the other titles that we've seen and we're about to see, table presence, as Derek brings up, table presence is so key in your store, but also as we're noticing more and more online with a lot of different social media platforms, there are people that are acting as ambassadors because they just love games that are going to generate more people for you, more customers for you, just because they're seeing things for the first time still. And so we want to be able to make sure that those titles that are still kind of rippling out to newer gamers for you are still able to, you are still able to get a hold of them, so you can still capitalize on that market growth. Synapse. This is a company that we very much love.
No,
Jules, do you want to? You can intro it. I'll talk about the game.
So Synapse is near and dear to my heart. The man behind it is Carl Briere. Some of you may have met him at Gen Con, working with me at Asmo or working with me at Cool Mini. He's been my international sales director at both those companies. Carl started his own publishing company about the same time we started Luma, so we've been growing together side by side ever since. So yeah, I was just honored when Carl asked me to be his distributor, and this is his first Euro style gaming game. We worked really hard on this together. If you look at the content inside the box in the game, this game should have easily been $50, given the beauty of the components, the quaddles, the snakes, the Incan snakes, whatever. But we really wanted it. We really wanted to get it at that $40 SRP. And so, yeah, I'm just, this is an emotional one for me.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Colin. I'll let you.
Well, as Jules is saying, Quaddle is a game that has a big toy factor, a big play factor because of the components, even the bag quality. Like everything has been taken care of here in terms of the production value, and it really is a joy to both look at, to engage with, and to handle. And we've heard excellent feedback. I mean, again, reviews have been really strong, and the word of mouth through the content creation. I mean, this was one of Z Garcia's top 10 from last year. We have people continuing to solicit review copies, and we have people still giving really powerful, testimonials to this game online, especially Instagram. It's a very Instagrammable game. It's odd to talk about that as a term now, but I guess that's just the world we live in. So you have a lot of people that are seeing this game still and are really getting hyped up about it. And we think that it is going to continue to do well. It's just been restocked. We are working on making sure that it is still steadily throughout the spring and summer available to you. And again, 1 to 4, like Dive earlier, this is a game that plays very well. 2 to 4 has a solo component that you can play. So in this particular moment of COVID, or hopefully at the tail end, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we still have the capacity for people that are entering through that solo space to play this, but also perhaps engage with family play because it's a lighter Euro, it's very play focused, and we feel like it is going to continue to do well for some time.
So this is one game that we haven't really, we don't really understand its full potential yet. It came out, we had to place the order for the game. It was in a weird time. It was during the apex of COVID, just at the very beginning. The game hit the hotness of BGG. The reviews, like Colin was saying, were just phenomenal. And we sold out within 48 hours of our first print run. And from what we understood, the sell-through through the different channels was almost instantaneous. So, and then we've been out of stock for, quite honestly, just about 4 to 5 months, I believe. And that's the only time it's ever hit the market. So there's a ton of people out there that have been looking for this game that have not been able to get their hands on it. So yeah, we're looking forward to this one. We think this one is going to be, it's going to have a long tail. The replay value is very, very good. In Europe and in other continents, they've already reprinted and sold their reprints already and are reprinting again. So the feedback internationally has been very, very good on this product as well. So like I said, this is one that we are banking on very much for both personal reasons, but also because the data is there. And so, yeah, I'll let Colin continue.
Just to make sure we're on the same page, I don't want retailers to get confused on any of the terminology we're using. I know we have POs that are still open for that are going to be filled as soon as possible. When you're saying that it was just restocked, it's something that just got restocked with you guys and you're getting shipped out.
Actually, Scott, we received it, I believe it was early last week, and it's
perfect.
The orders were being printed, the orders were being fulfilled at our distribution warehouse in the US to you late last week. So I'm assuming you should receive it in your warehouses quite shortly.
Yeah, hopefully this week. Yep, that'd be great. Yeah, this is one that is a extremely approachable game. It's something that honestly, everyone that I've ever shared this game with, the little dragon pieces that kind of come together, as you can see there on the bottom, it is such a good physical piece, but it is also extremely tactile and colorful that, again, this is one that just kind of jumps out at people and they're like, I have to know what's going on. I have to play this game, which is really cool.
Well, their next one, which is going to be releasing shortly, is Match 5. Match 5 is kind of a different play style, but is still low price point, and should be very family focused. This is going to be more of a party style title. This is going to work very well with your taboo players, your categories, more of your, not to use the term casual players, but people that are more looking for more party centric, lighter gameplay style games. This is a title where you're doing a lot of word association. Comes with 10 custom dice. It comes with a variety of different categories. You see the 5 up there are examples. You're going to roll dice. You're going to match them into their various slots so you know what categories they are. And then during the round, which is 3 minutes with the timer, you're going to try to come up with a word that associates with each combination of 2 dice that you see. So if you manage to roll, let's say, carnivorous meat with, let's say, I'm looking for something, let's say float, maybe you could say shark, maybe you could say crocodile, something like that. And so you're going to be rewarded based on whether or not your words are accepted, because you have a time limit. So you may write down some things that everyone else at the table, I don't think that works for that, Bill. And then you're also going to have points rewarded if other people come up with the same word, or if you're unique. So it's that kind of scoring structure. You play 2 rounds. It's a 20-minute game. We're finding that this plays very well over Zoom, over Twitch, online. This is a title where, so long as someone's rolling the dice and watching the timer, any amount of people can play. So even now, just before release, as it's going out to reviewers, we're seeing a lot of really strong buzz as a game that can be adapted to online play. Things that we've seen, like Railroading, is being played online constantly. Similar is being played constantly online. Match 5, we feel, is also going to be really strong for people that are playing a lot in larger digital communities. So this is getting good buzz for that so far.
And Jules is constantly playing lucky numbers online.
Yes, but we'll get to that momentarily. We'll jump over that. So Holy Grail is a company that will have several things coming out. We just want to remind you that Holy Grail has been doing Rallyman GT, which is back in, Museum and Dominations, which continue to do well as very lavish productions. Holy Grail makes beautiful games. They spend a lot of effort creating very mature, very solid components. Rallyman's community continues to be very strong. Dirt will be coming out as the second standalone title in that series later this year, not this quarter, but later this year. So we'll talk to you about that in a bit. But these 3 continue to perform as titles. I mean, Dominations was a buzzword for Tom Vassell for a good chunk of 2019 as a really strong abstract civ builder. Museum continues to find its way on Instagram and a variety of different visual platforms because of the art of Vincent Dutray and the easy card-based gameplay. And Rallyman, as I said, the community built around it is really strong and really has a lot of passion for the product, for the gameplay, and for third-party design within it. So we find that Holy Grail, while not releasing something this particular quarter, is a company that we want to make sure you are aware of, that works with us as Luma through GTS, and is continuing to make a really beautiful product that will continue to do well in your communities.
So they've released the continuation. It's already on Kickstarter, so we can talk about that just very briefly. But they are continuing on the Rallyman series with Dirt, which will be completely compatible with the Rallyman series. Yeah. So getting players involved, and there's a really strong community for Rallyman as well. There's a lot of people creating their own tracks, creating their own play. So the community is quite strong. And Dirt has been adding to that. The anticipation for Dirt as an add-on and as a standalone game is really a cool component. The one thing that Holy Grail does really well is they have retailers in mind in a different way. They don't offer a lot of Kickstarter exclusives. So a lot of the expansions that you see were offered on Kickstarter, but for the people that did not back the campaign, we are able to offer them to you through your stores, which is something that we think is a really cool concept for them. It's someone coming into the game late can have almost the entire all of the components. So that's just one little thing we like about Holy Grail.
Huracan as well is perhaps a company that you're familiar with. The one that we'll talk about right now, because the reprint is almost back in, is Mr. Jack. And this is an older game, but this is a game that has maintained its pedigree, still does very well with plays online. Again, Board Game Arena is bringing a lot more eyes to this classic two-player. The expansion, as well as Mr. Jack Pocket, the kind of simplified two-player version. Uh, all of these will be back in stock shortly. Pocket should still be available, but the base and the expansion will be back in stock through GTS in the next little bit.
It's supposed to arrive in Detroit on Wednesday. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Now, Ankama is a really interesting company to work with. We're big fans of them because they're a very large company in Europe. The board games are not necessarily their primary thing, but they create stories, they create experiences, and we're never concerned about art style, and we're never concerned about the presentation of a title when it releases. And I think the best example that you are perhaps familiar with, perhaps not yet, with of an uncommon design has to be Draftosaurus. Now, Draftosaurus, I'm going to beat Jules to the punch by saying this is probably one of my favorites in our catalog. It's certainly one of our oldest. This is one of the ones that really brought Luma to the table early on. And I very much remember being at lots of conventions when we were starting, just constantly teaching Draftosaurus, constantly passing dinos around. Back in the before times when I could pass a variety of dino meeples to a bunch of strangers at a table. This has continued to be a powerhouse for us. For those of you that are familiar, the design pedigree, Antoine Team Kaidama is basically the traveling Wilburys of French designers. I don't know if I'm dating myself or if I'm reaching to the wrong audience with that reference, but I continue to make it. Antoine Bauza, Corentin Lebras, Ludovic Maublanc, Théo Rivière, they have a laundry list of bestsellers in terms of their design credentials. And together they've made this just almost pitch perfect little drafter that even now, years, it's been 18 months since we've started. It's been 18 months since we've had this, and it's been on the international market a little longer. This is a title that continues to do well, continues to find new audiences, continues to expand in your store. And speaking of expand, well, no, that's too awkward of a segue. I will say that in terms of Board Game Arena, this has been 100,000 plays inside its first week landing on that platform. This is a game that people just enjoy playing. It's hard to deny the adorableness of the Dino Meeples, and it's even harder to deny just the pure numbers that are going into how well this is performing in stores and online. But back to my awkward expansion segue. Oh, okay. So these are finally going to hit very shortly with the imminent arrival of the Draftosaurus restock. The expansions just do what a good expansion should do, which is they don't alter, they just enhance the play slightly. Both of them add a new Dino Meeple with a new little addition to the board, and they give you a little extra thing that you can think about in terms of how you're placing them. You can play one or the other, you can play them combined. Everything that's gone into it has really been about how do you accentuate what makes Draftosaurus a great game without overcomplicating or completely rewriting the script. The Marina gives you the plesiosaurs that you can kind of move along the river as you place very specific types of Dino Meeples. And the pterosaurs in Aerial Show are going to allow you to take specific bonuses as you fill in more of those nests. So they add a little bit extra in terms of the kinds of placement you can make on the board without overcomplicating what you're doing, which is drafting little Dino Meeples, which makes it a huge family-friendly hit. Instagram, TikTok is really dominated by family players right now, and this continues to be a banner title for them. New people are still learning it all the time, despite the strength of the sales over the past year and a half. So we think that this, coupled with the expansions, will continue to be just absolute strong sellers for you. And when the time comes again, when your demo spaces can open up a little bit more, this will continue to be a great eye-catching title. But until then, be rest assured, the buzz online will still draw people to you. And then finally, I'm gonna maybe I'll intro it, but then Jules will give his testimonials. We are going to be launching in April, May. This is going to be Lucky Numbers. Lucky Numbers is just a joy to play. This is a small price point, $20 SRP. All you're doing is you are drawing a tile and placing a tile. It's very accessible for the Sudoku crew, where you're trying to fill in your board as fast as possible by adding numbers left to right, top to down, in ascending order. And every line, every column, every row has to be in alphabetical ascending order. Should we play the video for this one? Should we push our luck?
Yeah, you should.
All right. Let's see if then we can.
There's no sound. I can barely hear it.
Can you hear?
Oh.
What if I did this?
So I thought I was really good at lucky numbers until I went into a Swiss tournament this weekend and just got my butt handed to me on a silver platter. So even though it's called lucky numbers, it's one of those games where, yes, you can play it as smoothly as you want, but there's also a strategy element to it where you're blocking people off, stealing numbers, placing them. It might not be advantageous to you, but really hurts the other player. It's just a super little addictive game. If ever you want to play on Board Game Arena, I play it daily. I'm addicted to it. So one of the things at Luma this year is you'll notice, yes, we do have games for all age groups, for all types of players. We have your entry-level game, and we have your core hobby game, like the really heavy, meaty game like King's Dilemma. But one thing that our publishers all focused on this year, given what is happening around the world, is a lot of lower price point games. They realized, so we have a lot of $20, $25 games. There's been a big focus on keeping games at SRPs under 40. And we've worked hard with them to maintain these prices. There's been so many shifts in the industry. There's the cost of prints that have gone up quite a bit overseas. The cost of a container and bringing them into the US has been quite a nightmare. You look at a container of King's Dilemma. I'll just share this very quickly with you guys, but it is what's impacting our industry quite a bit. A container of King's Dilemma, a big 40-foot container, used to cost me about $5,000 to bring in. That cost has doubled. So if you look at the cost per unit, it's gone up quite a bit. Luma, it's been my goal to work very, very hard on maintaining our pricing as much as possible. We've had to adjust some things that, given the nature of the beast, but we are working at keeping those price points at a very palpable price for the end consumer. So I want to thank you all for taking the time. I think that's the end of our presentation. There are other publishers on there like iSchool with Brain Games that does iSchool and Team 3. We just wanted to highlight what was here, now, new, or a reprint that we felt was important. There is so much more to the catalog. Super Meeple is launching a remake of Tikal shortly. Horrible Guild has, Tiny Turbo Cars coming. Vampire is being released next week. There's a lot in the pipeline, but these are just what it's just a short open window to what is coming in the next 2 to 3 months. We understand that for retailers right now, it's what's available now, given that its supply is tough for every publisher. So don't be too hard on them. I'm going to speak for myself, but also for them. Be kind to them and be kind to your distributors, because it's a lot of times it's not the distributor's fault. It hasn't been GCS's fault when we've been out of stock on King's Dilemma. And to be quite honest, there are times it's been completely out of our hands. We've had containers of King's Dilemma sitting in China in a warehouse for almost 90 days with unable to get it on a ship just through the shortage. It is a reality. You're going to hear it a lot from manufacturers like Gamma or around in the not too distant future, but it is a situation we all have to deal with collectively. This is a cooperative game, is how Colin so eloquently worded it. We partner with distribution to help you so you can get to your end consumer. It is an ecosystem. We understand we live in it, and we are doing our utmost to give you the best service possible, given the extenuating circumstances. So I do want to thank retailers for your courage through these difficult times, your willingness to continue on. You are a very important segment of this industry, and I just want to tip my hat off to you guys. Keep it up, and again, thank you for being who you are. You mean a lot to us. So awesome. Thank you for attending today. I really appreciate it.
Derek has a great question real quick. He asked, does Luma have any online source for digital marketing assets, images, logos, videos, things like that? I know you guys have your main web page. You have a retailer page off of that page at lumaimports.com, but was there any kind of like privatized Dropbox for retailers that they need to know about?
There's a Dropbox, and we're constantly updating it, and we're continuing to grow it. We know that it makes it easier on you as retailers when we can provide you with more and more assets, whether it's social media graphics, whether it is, as you say, the logos and the videos. We do have as a default in our standard Dropbox that goes out to our newsletter, throughout our newsletter, that will give you the base art assets for the game, logos of the publisher of Luma for the game title, as well as the sell sheet, videos as they are made available through the publisher, as well as we're looking to hopefully expand that to include more social media graphics. We're starting to see that happen more and more, and we want to make sure that we can give you things that are Instagram compliant, Facebook compliant, so that it's easy enough for you to throw stuff up onto your channels. So do reach out, and if you're not seeing a thing that you feel is the most beneficial, we will always try to help as best we can. We are trying to standardize things to make it as easy for you to get as much as we can, but if you have certain requests, you can add. The worst we'll say is no, because we may not be able to produce them yet. But we always want to keep those conversations open, and we always want to make sure you have as many tools as is possible to succeed, because you're the front line. You're all doing amazing stuff, and it's been just a heck of a year. So whatever we can do when we can to help you, please reach out. And Jules dropped the email. If there's any marketing questions, anything about the newsletter, please don't hesitate to reach out. colin.young@lumagames.ca. Always happy to get to you as soon as I can, because we have so many things coming up, and we want to make sure that you know exactly how to get it.
I think one thing to clarify for retailers is we are not the publisher. We work with all these publishers. So a lot of times when you make a request to us, we do our best to pass along to them. Our publishers are very different in their scope, their staff. You look at someone like Horrible Guild, who's a much more mature company, larger staff. They provide so much more to us that we can provide to you. Then you look at a smaller publisher like Tiki, which does Lucky Numbers. He's a one-man show, so he's trying to get this going as well, and we try to assist him as much as we can. So I was talking about that ecosystem. It kind of goes that way for us too, and so we. So I'll get to your question in a minute. It's not Derek. It's
Joetta.
Joetta. So we'll do that as much as possible. Helpful for pre-sales would be to get box barcodes and pics, even mock-up. as soon as possible. So if you do sign up for our newsletter, everything's there. The minute we have a process where we email the newsletter to our distributors first. It's done a week prior, 10 to 7 days prior, depending on how it falls. So they can get it set up in their system so that when you get it, it should be set up at distribution. So there, we do have that set up. All our barcodes, weights, dimensions, everything is there. If you go to the bottom of the newsletter, there's always our price list, barcodes are there, country of origins there, you name it, it's there. And our sales sheets are.
It's also probably good to know, we actually just had this conversation with a couple of retailers at Gamma Online last week in our booth. And the question came up around EANs versus UPCs, and how a lot of European publishers will use an EAN, which is a European identification number. We actually went back into our system at GTS and we found out that not only can we put either or both into our system, but we can mark them as either or both. So when you see something that says barcode, you're actually going to start to begin to see, as of this week, we just made this change, you'll see EAN and the number for that. And then if there is a UPC, you'll see the UPC and the number for that. So the images is also something we can help with, Joetta. That's something that we can talk with our sales ops team and make sure that as companies like Luma provide those images of the UPC barcodes, we can upload them as one of the images as part of the product page. But that should be something that we could easily help out with. And I want to add something, Jules, because this is like really important, I think, for people to know. We deal with hundreds of publishers, and even just a single publisher to keep us, meaning all of distro, not just GTS, but all of distro, updated consistently has always seemed to be a bit of an uphill swim and a big challenge. Luma is one of the top 5 that I have ever worked with in terms of communication. They provide clear communication, consistent communication. What ACD gets is what Alliance gets, is what we get. Everyone has the exact same information. And when you put that in perspective of the fact of what Jules just said, is that they're not the publisher, they're representing those publishers, and the amount of, probably, as I call it, the duck on the water activity that has to happen, where you look very calm up top, but your feet are paddling like crazy underwater. That's a heck of a lot to talk about. Their newsletter is awesome. They get a lot of information in that newsletter for the new releases and the restocks. As they mentioned, there is the hyperlinks to all the assets. It's one of the companies that I would highly recommend that if you're not already connected with, make sure to get on that newsletter, get the information, and it's just really, really good stuff to talk about.
Well, one thing I can I'll vouch for Colin on this. We are a small team. Luma Imports, given that we have so many outside sources from publishing and everything else, we do operate a very small team. We're very agile, we're very quick, but sometimes we're only 4 with a lot of volunteers and a lot of other stuff happening. But we will get to you, I promise. We try to do it as quickly as possible. There are days that are a little slower, just because we are doing the stuff on the back end. I handle all the publishers' relationships and I do all that. Colin is really your go-to guy as a retailer for anything marketing. He is my right-hand man, but his official title was marketing director, but he's also the assistant director of the company as we grow this thing out. We will be adding more people on staff shortly, but yeah, Colin is really the person you need to go to, and we have a great support team member, which is Laura Salazar, who will get you and provide you with whatever you need. So Colin will give you all that. Our emails are on the newsletter, the entire team, what we do. Yeah, just essentially, we're here to help.
And we'll make sure to get all those links into the YouTube video as well. So as we post this, the retailers that are watching this after we've recorded live can be able to hop on and shoot you guys emails or get onto the newsletter and get the information as well. Jules and Colin, as you had mentioned earlier, if you have the deck and want to send me the deck, I can then make sure to send that out to the retailers who were here live. And just if anyone is watching this on YouTube and would like to get the deck, feel free to email me. My email is smorris@gtsdistribution.com. So guys, Thank you. This is
Thank
awesome.
you.
This is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of really good stuff to lean into in terms of the coming months, and having this all coming up and restocked right now is great timing. Like we had talked about, if you want to either place an order online or place an order with your GTS sales rep, we'll get that into back order. And as soon as the restocks land, we will get that out to you. But as mentioned earlier, Luma is a very, very key partner for us. So we want to make sure to both treat them right, and in the process, make sure we're helping our retailers with good products that you'll be able to sell through consistently on. So with that, I hope everyone stays safe. I hope everyone stays healthy. Jules, Colin, thank you so much for joining. Retailers,
everyone.
thank you so
Thank you
much
for
for
having us.
joining, and have a great week in your stores. Take care.
All right. Thank you.